Is tomorrow's concert a celebration of Ozzy or a celebration of Black Sabbath? Now, before I get into this, please don't forget to hit the like button, comment on this video, share this video, and if you still haven't, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell for updates. Okay, so with that out of the way, this whole concert of the farewell of Black Sabbath, or is it the farewell Ozzy? And starting to look at this thing as more of an Ozzy concert. I mean, they have all these kind of people coming out, like Jakey Lee, which is cool to play with Ozzy for one more time. And Ozzy has his own set, and I'm thinking that maybe maybe Jakey Lee will come out and do Bark at the Moon and Shot in the Dark, and then maybe Zakk Wylde will come out and do his two songs, Mama I'm Coming Home, and what's the other big one? No More Tears, and then a couple of Randy songs, right? And he has like a 30-minute set. I saw this itinerary, and I don't know if it's real or not, but I mean, just looking at how long people are playing and the bands that are selected and everything, and Tom Morello, who put this thing together, I mean, he's pretty much doing whatever Sharon wants. But if you are a Black Sabbath fan, this is not really honoring Black Sabbath to me. And I pretty much would rather they have went the Freddie Mercury route when they did a tribute concert with Freddie Mercury, the remaining members of Queen, back in '92. Wembley Stadium, where the remaining members of Queen were on stage, and people would come up and other artists would sing songs of Queen, and now looking at some of the people in here, I think Guns N' Roses, at first I was like, well, what the hell is Guns N' Roses doing there? But you know what, they did do a song, they covered a Black Sabbath song on their live album, which is It's All Right, which Bill Ward sings, right, from the Technical Ecstasy album, and which is a single that was released, but it was also a deep cut, I would say. And that is a real Sabbath tribute, pretty much, you know what I mean? Because the last tour that they went to, which I'm wearing the t-shirt from, which was The End, which was horrible. They had a horrible reunion. They had a different drummer. They didn't have Bill Ward. And so hopefully Bill Ward is on this last show, because Ozzy said, you know what, it's not the same because Bill's not there. And so with Bill Ward being here, and that'd be great if he came out and sang with, GNR and It's All Right, and kind of showcase more of Sabbath, because even Ozzy said that, it was great that Tony Iommi kept it going, Black Sabbath going. And if this is a celebration of Black Sabbath, Birmingham, and heavy metal, heavy metal started from these four guys and it kept going, why not have those other years? Because if they're showing Ozzy and what happened after he left Black Sabbath, bringing in, Jakey Lee, and I mean, that is a cool thing. Why not, instead of seeing these other bands like Rival Son, wouldn't you rather see the remaining members of Black Sabbath, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, and Ian Gillan, playing songs like Trashed and Disturbing the Priest or something, than seeing Rival Sons? You know what I mean? And to sort of just going back into those Sabbath eras of the different lineups, and to celebrate Black Sabbath, because even Bill Ward was on the Heaven and Hell album. Now, even though that Dio is not here, Rob Halford, if you go and if only Tom Morello really geeked out on this whole thing, and would have put together something where the fans would go, okay, that makes sense. Rob Halford of Judas Priest sat in for Dio when there was that first farewell concert back in '92 where Ozzy was playing the retire, no, that was not retirement sucks, but it was like a retirement, no more tours tour or something like that, right? And they brought in the Black Sabbath members at the end, the original ones, and this was in Costa Mesa, California. It's documented in Live and Loud, Ozzy Osbourne. However, Dio did not want to play that night, so they had Rob Halford sit in and do some Dio songs or whatever, some other songs from the Ozzy Osbourne catalog. But however, they could do that and have Rob sit in and celebrate Sabbath, because even the passing of Dio and everything like that, they could just really celebrate the brand of Black Sabbath. And then you still have like these other singers, like even Tony Martin coming up there and doing songs with Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi from the Cross Purposes era, right? And it's just like, this is such a missed opportunity, I feel, as sort of as far as Black Sabbath is concerned, because it seems like, yes, this is Ozzy retiring, and they're having a little bit more about the Ozzy celebration, it seems, more than the Black Sabbath, because you could still put out Glenn Hughes out there, who was part of the Seven Star era, and he sang No Stranger to Love and things of that nature, then sing Mastodon. You know what I mean? I mean, these are bands that are just, some of these bands in there are just like, okay, yeah, they listen to Sabbath and, were influenced by Sabbath. Oh, just throw them on there. When you could actually just really delve into the whole Sabbath history and really give the fans, because I'm feeling, if you are in Birmingham and you got a ticket for this show, would you rather see the Born Again lineup or fucking Rival Sons or Hailstrom, whoever, play a few songs or whatever? I mean, I can understand some of these bands that have been chosen to play, like Pantera. They did cover Planet Caravan, and they did open up for Sabbath in their reunion tour, which I went to. That was really great, with Bill Ward, and they had the reunion album out. Now, I mean, so that is a good band to have there to play. But Tool, they never really did anything as far as Sabbath is concerned. And to have them just play, it's just like, you know what? I'd rather hear, some Tony Martin stuff. Or even like, okay, so the Wolfgang Van Halen is there. His dad played, Eddie Van Halen played on the Cross Purposes album, right? He played on the Evil Eye song. It wasn't credited, but if you know. So that would be something to see. You know what I mean? Just everything that has to do with Black Sabbath, because it's Birmingham, it's Black Sabbath, and the poster has all four of these guys. Ozzy didn't want to do it unless Bill came back. So all these people are back. Why not utilize them and play Black Sabbath or celebrate Black Sabbath? It seems more it's an Ozzy thing. I think it's cool that Ozzy has a little set and everything like that. But I think Mastodon would be the first band. I would have had Zach Sabbath opening up, or bands also that have covered Black Sabbath songs in their own studio recordings, as far as like they release, just like Pantera, the band Sleep. They've done Snowblind, I believe, and they've done Black Sabbath songs that that they covered and released. And so, I mean, I would have bands like that playing, and instead of having like this star-studded event kind of a thing, a who's who, that's not really related to Sabbath. Because I think for a Sabbath fan, I think it's really cool to keep them on their toes about things and throwing references out there. I recently made a review of the Kiss film Detroit Rock City, and I was explaining like how in that film they threw in little gems, little Easter eggs in there. Like two of the characters, one girl was named Beth, the other girl was named Christine from the song Christine 16. And so if you're a Kiss fan, you're like, oh, that's cool. I think they should have done that with this whole Sabbath thing. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why I like bringing in GNR, because, you know, they have covered It's All Right. And just having the other three guys up there would have been really cool. And to celebrate some of the Tony Martin stuff and just Black Sabbath in general, you know, because then, I don't know, it's just like there's just a bunch of artists on here. Yeah, they like Sabbath and everything, but okay, it's just going to be, it would be more, I would say, monumental, or just more like for a Sabbath fan to be like, yeah, they did the right thing, they did the right job. You know, and I know that probably Sharon Osbourne doesn't want to go into all of this, but if you're really thinking about the fans and everything of Black Sabbath, because it seems like it's Black Sabbath is the one on the poster, and you know, throughout the tours or throughout the different lineups, it'd be a grab bag, right? You pretty much, like for Heaven Hell album, you know, all three of them, Bill Ward, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and that tour Heaven and Hell had those guys in there. You know what I mean? So why not have somebody else up there and celebrate Dio for being part of Black Sabbath, and just the whole history, the legacy. And Ian Gillan, you know, he's still around. Glenn Hughes is still around. Yeah, I think that would have been, for me, that's how I would have looked at it. And so you could actually hear Tony Iommi playing these certain riffs for the last time, right? It's not about just Ozzy singing these songs for the last time, Iron Man and whatever, but, you know, to sit there and just hear, you know, Tony Iommi play Children of the Sea, or you know, The Mob Rules, you know, and you got to celebrate all of them. You know what I mean? Not just Ozzy, and that's what I feel. This is kind of a big, for me. It's a big letdown. As far I know that everyone else is excited about it, but you know, as a Sabbath fan, you know what, and the name Black Sabbath, and people could say, you could argue, well, that's not Black Sabbath, all these other ones with Cozy Powell and all these other members. But you know what, even Ozzy said, like I said, like he was happy that Tony Iommi kept it going, and it was Generation X who supported this era of Black Sabbath, from, you know, the era of Heaven and Hell and onwards, you know, and we're the ones who are still there, while those people in the 70s, I mean, they're in you know, they're in convalescent homes, you know, those people from the 70s that saw Black Sabbath, they're not around anymore. But mainly it's for the 80s, the people in Gen X like myself. We're the ones out there in that show, pretty much, and we were there. We stuck with Sabbath, and we stuck with Ozzy, and we stuck with Dio solo stuff. We stuck with everyone involved in Black Sabbath, right? Even Eric Singer being in the 7 Star album, you know, he's in with Kiss, you know what I mean? But they're all, you know, everything revolves around Sabbath, that, you know what I mean? And so, and those other members, if you're gonna have all those members up there, they should have just said, this is an Ozzy show. This is Ozzy's retirement and everything, and just Sharon's like, this is the last time I'm doing this. Yeah, for Ozzy. But you know what? There's other 3 people up there, you know, and I hope that the main thing I want to say, I do want to see Bill Ward sing It's All Right, hopefully with Guns N' Roses, you know, that would be great. But I don't really see them taking a deep dive into the whole Sabbath geek world. You know, I don't think Tom Morello was thinking on that level. He was just thinking, okay, these are some bands that could fill up this slot that that worship Sabbath. But for a Sabbath fan, yeah, I would like to see Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler and Bill Ward. To get Bill Ward out there to play a show, you might as well just use him and play a lot of these other songs, from the Heaven and Hell album, and from the Born Again album and everything like that, But again, they kind of, to me, it's really fucked up. You're gonna go hear Metallica play Enter Sandman and some of their other songs, and then I think they did do Sabracadabra or something like that. But it's just like a Tool playing songs of what? I'd rather see Black Sabbath. If I was going to pay that much money and be at their last show, this is going to be a Black Sabbath show. But I guess that they didn't take that route. Okay, so they're going to have a lot of people probably out there. There's like jam bands I was looking at, and probably just a lot of film footage and videos to make the crowd feel good or whatever. And that's really cool and everything. But you know what? Why don't you just get some of these musicians that are still around, and if they're going to go really deep, take a deep dive on some of this stuff instead of just getting Jakey Lee. There's also Tommy Aldridge and Rudy Sarzo. Maybe they'll get them out too. I mean, if you're gonna go fucking hard on this, then do it, right? So those are my little pet peeves, or my little arguments about this. And other than that, though, I mean, yes, it's a great band. It's come to a great ending, though. I just really feel like it should have been more emphasized on Black Sabbath, since the other three guys are on that poster. Okay, so leave me a comment below. What are your thoughts? Am I just fucking blowing smoke, or this is bullshit, or are you guys happy with what's going on here? And I'm speaking as a Black Sabbath fan, not a Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath fan. I'm speaking on behalf of, like, I want to hear Black Sabbath, and you're going to celebrate Sabbath. Let's do it right. And with that, I'll shut up, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.